Wouldn't it be great if we never made financial mistakes? I mean, can you imagine how far you might be ahead if you never made a mistake in the game of money? I don't know how realistic that is, but with the right advice, it can help. And today on Limitless TV, I'm going to share with you how to avoid the biggest financial mistake I've ever seen someone make. Hands down, the biggest money mistakes that I've ever seen got taught to me when I had a chance to be a fly on the wall on how people did their finances. This happened when I was a student at Brigham Young University, and I had a full-time job and I was going to school full-time. And in this full-time job, I was on the phone doing telemarketing, and that was my job. My job was to be selling something. But it also involved interviewing people, and I had a chance to interview people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, thousands of people. And I started seeing a pattern. I want to share that pattern with you right now that took me years to accumulate. When we're in our 20s, we're pretty carefree. We don't have a lot of money. We're busy going to college, seeking greater education, getting a piece of paper that says we're smart, and we're not thinking about financially getting ahead when we should be. Then in our 30s, we're graduated from college and we're now ready for big career moves. And those big careers that are no longer working at Dairy Queen and McDonald's, we now got a job that's paying $30,000 a year, $60,000 a year, $100,000 a year. And what we do is we now make one of the first big mistakes. We step into a pile of liabilities. Cars, shiny things, trips, big houses. And we're creating a substantial lifestyle on the new money that we have because we can buy more, our credit will do more. In our 40s, we're busy now raising children, starting families. Our lives are hyper busy. I'm focusing on my career. By the time I get into my 50s, I'm focusing on becoming an empty nester. I've got children now leaving the home, and all of a sudden I start realizing I've been in the workforce for a few decades, and my retirement is not what I need it to be. So now panic is how I feel financially. By the time I get into my 60s, I start becoming less employable. You start noticing that even though we're supposed to be protected in our jobs, that there's a lot of unfair things that happen to older people that are starting to slow down, make transitions. And now panic is how we're feeling about our finances because our retirement isn't what it needs to be. We were so busy, we're still paying off the same dang big house and the shiny cars, and we've grown accustomed to them in our lifestyle. And then we get into our 70s. And by then you've given up. And when you give up financially on your dreams, that's when you become the worst. Crotchety. Crotchety, crusty barnacles. Because you had hopes and dreams, you followed society's game plan, it did not work. You want to know what the biggest financial mistakes are? I'm about to reveal the #1 biggest mistake that has the chance to determine whether you become a millionaire or behind the 8 ball 40 years later. So here's the difference between one choice that can catapult into $1 million or never getting ahead of the proverbial 8 ball. How do you treat your #1 liability? Now think about it for a second. A car's not the biggest thing you're ever going to buy. A vacation's not the biggest thing you're ever going to buy. A kid might be the most expensive thing you ever buy. But the #1 liability in our life are the homes that we live in. And you've heard it over and over again on my videos. You either treat your home like a home or a house. A home is something for you to live in. A house is an investment. And you want it to be both. Why? Because your biggest liability can hurt you. It's your biggest monthly payment. Yeah, you might have $1,000 or a $1,500 or $2,000 payment. You got to get that working for you. Now, while you're living in it, it'll never truly be an investment unless you buy it with some equity that you can put to use. For example, you might be watching this saying, you know, Kris, I'd love to pay my house off. And you know what? Let me show you how to do it faster than a 15-year mortgage, an accelerated mortgage, or just throwing extra money at a bad investment. Instead, what you do is you extract the equity, enough to put 20% down on another house, and let that property and the one that it buys ultimately produce enough profit that you can come back and pay off your home. Well, I've seen people use primary residences that are bought with equity, and I've seen them leverage them to make $1 million. But I've also seen other people that don't know how to control that #1 liability, and 30 years later, they've refinanced it and they're still sitting in the same pile of problem where it's a liability that's difficult to control. So have your #1 liability become your #1 asset. That's the secret to getting ahead. Did you like the video? Did we do a good job? I hope it was useful for you, and go ahead and click the bell and YouTube's gonna send you a notification every single time we pump out another video so you can see if it's gonna help you get to where you need to go.